All right. We still have some time. We could discuss the movie. I can share some more information about the actress. She was born April 26, 1910 in Shanghai. Her father died when she was a child, and her mother worked as a maid to support them. When she was 16, Ruan started acting as a way to earn money. She made her film debut in the 1927 film A Married Couple in name only. She fell in love with a gambler, Zhang Demin, who had been disowned by his wealthy family. He would financially support him during the relationship. In 1930, she signed a contract with Lian Hua Studios and starred in the film Spring Dream of an Old Capital. It was a huge hit and made her one of China's biggest stars. Her success continued with starring roles in Little Toys, Homecoming, and The Goddess. She was called China's Greta Garbo at the time. When Ruan broke up with Zhang and started dating Tang Jisan, a married tea tycoon, he bought her a mansion in Shanghai and she became his mistress. Her ex-lover, Zhang, sued her in 1934, claiming she was his wife and owed him money. The scandal at the time made front-page headlines, and from then on, the tabloid press became obsessed with her personal life. Unfortunately, her relationship with Tang was rocky and he started abusing her. She was devastated when he threw her dog out of a window. She was cast in the 1935 drama New Women. It was based on the life of Ai Zia, an actress who had committed suicide. When New Woman premiered in February of 1935, there was a backlash from journalists who objected to their negative portrayal. And on March 8th, 1935, Ruan committed suicide by overdosing on barbiturates. She was just 24 years old. A note was found that said, quote, "Gossip is a fearful thing," end quote, and more than 100,000 fans attended her funeral. 3 female fans were so overcome with grief that they committed suicide during her funeral procession. Sorry to give you all this dark stuff. She was buried at Fu Shaoyuan Cemetery in Shanghai. 2 new suicide notes were written by Ruan, were found in 2001. In these notes, she wrote, "Tang broke her heart and Zhang shamed her publicly." A little about Shanghai's film industry in the 30s. Basically, China was influenced by the Lumiere brothers, the French films, and Thomas Edison's American films. And they started their own film industry in Shanghai. It lasted through 1937 when the Japanese bombed the city. And I think I said earlier, the actress completed about 29 movies. Mostly were dramas, and mostly the themes were hard times and suffering. And if you're familiar with Douglas Sirk, the director, it's said that this kind of a movie, these kind of themes influenced his work later on. And what else did I have? After the 30s in Shanghai, the Jazz Age kind of ushered in a wave of commercialism for the film industry. And that kind of started a new era for movies. And yeah, that's my research for you.
Thank you.
I wanted to show this film. There's a lot of silent movies that are famous around the world, French, German, American, Japanese. So I thought it would be really good to show something like this movie, even though it's kind of heavy and dark, but a lot of the topics I think are still relevant today. We could debate, should sex work be legalized in this country, you know, which it probably will in the coming years. And just kind of, you know, the social acceptance around that. And does anybody have any thoughts they want to share? You want to go first?
I'd probably be a mass murderer living in that fucking life. But also, I think it's a great movie because it shows the harsh realities. It reminds me a lot about Wild Western Front. Very like, it's like an old movie about First World War, which depicted very graphically the violence and the death and the pain that war is, and you know, that's very reminiscent.
A lot of schools in California still read the book, All Quiet on the Western Front, as well.
The movie is much better. All graphic. Yeah, you can feel it. There's like, it's a great movie.
Has anyone seen any other sound films from China, or you have? How does this compare to the ones you've seen?
We watched Nosferatu, so it was like kind of weird because he's carrying this in a coffin everywhere. It was very.
Which is like the first vampire movie, basically. Yeah.
That's impressive.
I like the shots where it's almost like she's looking at the camera in this movie. It was kind of interesting, that choice. And some handheld camera work a little bit when they're like looking around the room, perspective of the characters.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Do
Yeah.
we know anything about if this film is based off our own personal life or someone else's personal life?
I don't think so. Besides the other project she made, which was based on a real person's life, I think this was just written by the director and the filmmakers.
Was it supposed to be set in 1930 Shanghai as well, or previous time?
I think so. I think it's supposed to be contemporary. I didn't research the boy. I should have looked up his life a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder what become of him.
But wait, you could do that. If you'd like.
Can we do it right now?
You had something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the issue with like the sort of like faux gangster guy gambling away your money. Unfortunately, I had to help someone reach like protective services like a few months ago for a similar issue. Like, she married a guy who tricked her into a marriage, but she had a daughter from another marriage. She's like a teenager. The daughter's a teenager. Yeah. But I think she already had a restraining order against her, like, legally speaking, husband. But I think there were a few times he would come home drunk, and like, he would threaten them for like money because he wanted to cancel the film.
Wow.
So we contacted like local groups, organizations that help with that, and I think there's sort of at least temporarily resolved the issue. But it's not be a real issue even now. It's only a few months ago.
Wow.
There's the term like financial abuse, where one partner will make sure that they have full financial control.
Yeah.
And it's like indicative of like they ask you to put all of your money into a checking account for both of you.
Yeah.
But you don't have any access to it, right? And suddenly you're basically
Yeah.
So in this case, he just walked into her room.
Yeah.
And he found her stash and money in the wall. That was
It's too expensive.
You had something?
Yeah, I think this story is not new. It still happens now.
Oh yeah.
I know quite a few people that have partners or husbands that are gamblers, or the other way around. The wife might be the gambler, and they lose the whole building. I mean, I know 3 people that lost their buildings over gambling.
Yeah.
So, you know, the story is not new, but it's well done.
Yeah.
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 But it happens here in Chinatown, in San Francisco Bay.
It's so difficult as well because I feel like gambling is part of Chinese culture. Like I personally like during Chinese New Year, like there's always a few uncles and aunts who like sit down as soon as the buffet's done and we're like playing card games with some money. You didn't get that from me. But it's hard when it's like it can't be a community thing. It's like it's all in moderation.
Yeah.
It's like either east or west. There's also people behind those pillars.
Yeah.
In this particular case, I mean, that's
Yeah.
something, they said that pharmaceutical is the oldest profession. spot.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
Yeah, it's hard to.
if you want to really straighten out the situation, probably first thing we need to get rid of those pimps. I got it.
No.
Or provide provide other opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Provide other
First thing is
opportunities.
to get rid of those pimps.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's why prostitution should be legal.
I disagree with that. I'm not sure if I want to get into now.
You can say, we can talk a little bit about it.
Well, there's not that much research done into sex work, especially like the sex work that isn't reported. But there is some research done in New York. There's just been a lot of great initiatives there. So they did some research on prostitution, I think in the 90s, the 90s and the 2000s. And like the majority of the people who got into the work it was suggested by their family members before they were 18. Right? A lot of the people who were underage who got into the work, it was because they were LGBTQ, right, and had run away from an unwelcome home. This was one of the few places that they could get money from, right? So would legalizing improve any of those social issues?
It would let them to not be haunted by police.
Yes.
Not get arrested for that because they're just
The whole whammy, right?
And they wouldn't, so there is the question, do you legalize sex work? But then do you also legalize buying sex? Because there are places where it's illegal to purchase sex, but it's not illegal if you were caught selling sex. So that way it still disincentivizes like the industry, but it makes it safe for the sex workers. So that's an alternative. I'm not saying I know the solution, but there's a lot of nuances I'm not comfortable saying flat out we should legalize it because I don't actually think that would necessarily solve all of the problems that led to it. For example, in the Netherlands, it is legal, but you still hear a lot of stories of Eastern European girls being told that they were going to come for a dancing job. And
I mean,
Yeah.
sex trafficking is a different subject.
but it is related.
I mean, they are interconnected.
So until you can divide it and figure out the source of the problem, one fell swoop of men absolutely. One fell swoop of legalizing the entire industry. I don't think necessarily solves that problem because it just makes it legal for them then to profit off of it. Hypothetically.
Okay, so my argument would be, sure, there will be opportunity for some nasty ass males to do that. However, when you legalize an industry like that, you give opportunity to women to be empowered because, it's a legal job. They can have unions. They can have labor law protections, I mean, yeah.
So porn is legal. Are the women there fully protected?
I have no idea. I'm not a porn officer.
There's more, because it's legal, there are more policies in place that make it a safer environment, like there are more people taking care of like the emotional side of it as well. So I think it is difficult to say whether we want to legalize something entirely. However, adding policies to like ensure safety will always be a good thing. And I think with the discussion that leads to legalization, then there are likely to be more policies that will come into place. After.
I mean, but also, if it would be legalized, there would be a lot less chances that if they will report their abuse, they would just get no response from cops at all because, prostitution is illegal. You're doing illegal work and you can't report somebody for doing something illegal.
I don't personally have enough confidence in the police force that even if that got reported,
fair
that would happen.
fair enough.
But that's a fair point.
Hypothetically.
It gives them more tools.
Yes.
The reason I bring up porn is because they do have more tools, but then you also see that there's was a decade plus long fight for there to be condoms being used as a legal protection against STDs, and that took a long time. And that's just proof that like,
industry is just like it's an entertainment industry, and entertainment industry is like notorious for their
would sex work be a kind of entertainment industry? I'm not, this is a hypothetical.
What
I
about
don't
Nevada?
know.
Anybody have thoughts about Nevada? There's like the Bunny Ranch,
Yeah, that's what we're
there's...
just talking about. I didn't know prostitution was illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
I
Mustang
think
Ranch,
that's-
there's.
Yeah, it's like one of the few places in America, I think, where it's...
I think there's a lot of places.
But to that extent, for
I
Nevada.
think there's a lot of places here. It could be
I know
soft
in
power,
Germany
it
it's
could be
legal, but
dance
it's
clubs,
in
but no
designated
clubs, right?
areas. You can't get out of those areas.
Right.
You have to live in those
It's
areas.
isolated to
Yeah.
certain areas.
As a matter of fact, those sex workers, they report income tax.
oh wow,
They
that's
pay income tax. I think they, to a degree, they're unionized also.
Hmm.
There was, at the beginning, I read a news somewhere, I don't know how true that is, but.
Germany?
Germany, yeah.
In Germany? Okay.
Yeah, they're designated district. In those districts,
Hmm.
that's legal. But once you do that outside those designated areas, then you become illegal. And they also, I read some of that at the beginning of the pandemic, like to early parts of 2020, and a lot of street workers, they were protesting because all of a sudden they couldn't earn the kind of income they normally would. So, well, it's an argument, but I want to go back to the movies. This particular actress, I don't know how well you guys did the movie back then in China, but was she also in any kind of a talkies or?
She died so young, I don't think she made any
Because,
sound films.
Yeah, because I mean, it's kind of late evolved in China back then, and I heard that the silent movies were made until like early 40s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and because the Japanese invasion, so that really delayed the process of progress of updating their movie technologies. And, yeah, but I watched some of the later made movies after World War II ended, and they were talkies, but she was Hong Kong by then.
Right.
And,
One of the themes in the film too, I think it's like her lack of family support or other people in her life. I think that's one of the more maybe nuanced statements, or like if she had a better family or more people involved in her life, maybe she wouldn't had to have lived certain places, and I think that's kind of reminds me of you have something.
Oh, it's more like a question. I don't know if I have the answer, but I was just curious. Right, I wonder about like so I'm not familiar with like the cultural values were behind the movie for this, so I'm curious. I thought the principal's character was kind of surprising in terms of like progression.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was like lower seas at the time, or if like, that was like where the society was
I also know that some movies they acting heavily rely on the facial expressions.
Oh yeah.
And I wonder if there's any particular coaching in that regard, in that respect. I mean, I saw a lot of movies. I mean, American made, like Clara Bow and Charlie Chaplin, of course. And they have to have a lot of close shot because that's the only way they can show what they're trying to express. I was pretty amazed at her facial expressions.
Yeah, she's crying in at least one scene.
Yeah. I mean, you don't, even though you don't hear a song, but you have a pretty good idea of what she's trying to tell you. Well, what kind of person she's counterpart.
I think I said earlier there's a movie from 1992 that is based on the actress's life called The Actress by Stanley Kwan as the director.
Was it made in America or made in China?
China. So that might be one of the actors to look up. Any thoughts on the music choices by Claire and Mercy? Or did you want to share anything?
Mercer did
The research?
all the work. No, he did all the, I did the research, but he did all the work. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Feel the suspense. It's nice.
Yeah, it is.
Anything else?
I
That's
thought,
kind of personal, how did you get into this kind of?
Well, last year we showed many films, a lot of documentaries, local films, and I felt like what's missing often from like public film screenings is like I hadn't seen a silent Chinese movie ever, in the theater or seen it advertised. So I was curious because I hadn't seen many silent movies from China.
Well, this movie can be brought to Castle Theater.
Was it? How long ago?
Should be, or could be.
Oh, it should be.
It could be.
I know it's shown at like MoMA, in different museums and things.
Because, in Castle Theater, they have an annual silent film festival.
Right.
And they have movies from not just maybe United States, Hollywood, but from all over the world. I saw movies there made in Hungary, made in back then Czechoslovakia.
So yeah, I decided this would be a good one. And it's a shorter, some silent movies are 3 hours, 4 hours. My favorite's probably Metropolis, which is kind of like Blade Runner before Blade Runner. It's a really great, if you haven't seen Metropolis, definitely look that one up. Charlie Chaplin, of course. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is a really good one. Nosferatu, the first vampire movie.
The Artist, which only came out like last
The Artist!
Yeah.
Right, yes.
This is the first movie after, what's that movie about the airplane, like in 1927?
Silent movie
Yeah.
about an airplane?
Yeah, it won the best, won an Oscar. Best.
Wings, I think.
Oh, Wings, yeah.
Wings,
This-
yes.
The Artist is the second silent movie to win that kind of award.
Oh.
That was
Yeah.
stretch over like 80 years.
Yeah. We have more events coming up, more film screenings. Just check our website. I'm in the process of scheduling and reaching out to filmmakers and communications. We also have an open mic January 22nd.
January 22nd,
You
yes.
can come up here and perform or dance,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do. As long as it's not too graphic or body fluids or anything.
That's legal.
That's legal too.
Or is that okay?
It's legal, it's
You
legal.
put down some towels, catch your sweat.
Yes, right.
Anything else coming up you want to mention, Claire?
We have a poetry reading series that will start February 18, and it will be once a month on the third Saturday of the month. And then we'll continue to have music and film.
Children's theater too?
Children's
This year?
theater, the classes has already started. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, and that's on Sunday.
Is there a Lunar New Year celebration out there?
We have a concert on the 28th, and it will be with the Wu Qing and the Wu Zhang, Chinese poetry, Chinese songs. Yeah, so check our website and.
We have a mailing
sign
list
up.
too, if you want to put your
Yeah.
email down before you leave. We won't spam you with
Newsletter.
requests for any,
Yeah. And you've all seen the Sugar Magic Museum downstairs. We have a new Chinese New Year wrap coming up. We don't know when.
In the next few days.
Yeah, in the next few days, we'll let you know. Yeah, as soon as we know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be great.
Thanks for coming
Yeah,
out.
thank you
If
so
you want to
much
mingle a
for
little
being
bit,
here. Yeah.
feel free to get a snack or
Okay. Yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
Follow Clary on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
You're on social media.
I am? When?
You're on social media, Instagram?
Yeah, follow us on Instagram.
Oh,
Yeah, they follow you.
I have to ask that guy.
You can check it out too, yes. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you
for
so much.
contributing to the discussion.
Yeah.
A lot of good topics, relevant stuff.
Very nice. Yeah. Thank you.
Have a nice evening, rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yes, they drive. I don't know. I think it's not raining.
Sounds like it.
I think I heard it, yeah. I wasn't sure. I was like,
I thought it was.
There was thunder.
Yes. Yeah. Not from the movie.
It's better than